with the presentation of the working group coordinators. And we start with the coordinators of climate and environmental justice. Risa and Hadid, please present yourselves.
So, Harjeet, can you start first?
Sure. Hi, everyone. This is Harjeet Singh, and I'm one of the co-coordinators of the Climate and Environmental Justice Working Group. And as AOE shared, I'm also part of the steering committee. I just want to thank for this opportunity. This is my second year as part of the C7 process, and it has been a great experience working with Venro and the forum last year, who led the process of bringing the C7 together and ensure that the participation goes way beyond these G7 countries. And in fact, we had about 50 countries participating in the entire process, and making sure that the priorities are informed by the realities of the whole world and not just limited to G7 countries. And that really helped not only widen the participation, but also expanding the mandate. And also the process of reaching out to the government and the kind of access we had and the interactions we had throughout the process, and particularly submitting the communique was quite encouraging. Reaching out to the chancellor and having a chance to interact with the Sherpa and other officials was also very useful. Of course, we still have a lot of challenges. We won't claim that we have solved all the problem, and you heard in the initial sessions from the members of the steering committee, we have a huge challenge and things have become far more complex. But I must say that the process of civil society coming together and looking at the importance of G7 and influencing the process has brought us really together and made us stronger. We still have a lot to achieve. We did influence policies, and especially highlighting the concerns we had about equity and how do we phase out from fossil fuels, and talking about just transition, talking about sustainable food systems. So we did put our messages forward, and we will continue to press. And this year, I'm really looking forward to another year of intense process where civil society will work together to make a meaningful contribution and have successful advocacy efforts. So thank you very much, and I'll pass it on to my co-coordinator, Risa. Over to you, Risa.
Thank you, Harjeet, and thank you for joining us today. And my name is Risa Endo, and I'm Deputy Director General of Japan Center for Sustainable Environment Society, Justice, and the Domestic Coordinator of Climate and Environmental Justice Working Group with Harjeet. And as stated on the C7 website, the C7 Working Group on Climate and Environmental Justice aims to ensure that the mandatory measures and concrete actions of the Paris Agreement, as well as the Sustainable Development Goals, are ambitiously pursued and implemented by the G7 governments based on their fair shares. So we are going to focus on topics such as adaptation to climate change, climate finance, the equitable phase out of fossil fuels, enabling just transition, and addressing biodiversity loss. So in addition to these points, we will try to reflect a diverse and broad range of opinions. As of today, over 100 people have registered with this working group, so we will be holding several meetings to draft and finalize our policy recommendation. So we understand that some people may not be able to attend the meetings due to scheduling conflicts. So we will try to get inputs from those people as well. Thank you very much. Over to Anke.
Thank you very much. Now we listen to the coordinator of the working group Economic Justice and Transformation, Shoko. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So good evening and good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Shoko Uchida. I working for a Pacific Asia Resource Center based in Tokyo, a policy advocacy organization, and I am the domestic coordinator of the C7 Economic Justice and Transformation Working Group. And first of all, this working group has not yet decided on an international coordinator, so I am so serious about that. We are coordinating to make a decision on this post as soon as possible. So today I will explain the working group's perspective and the issues that we will be dealing with. Of course, this will be further deepened and updated through discussions at coming working group meeting in next month. In the fourth year of the pandemic and in light of the war in Ukraine, the human toll mounts while the world faces severe economic and financial consequences from the crisis, both inside the G7 and across the global south. The multiple crises are undermining the achievement of the 2030 SDGs agenda and worsen global inequalities, poverty, and hunger, as you know. A fundamental factor in these problems is the economic system, we think. It is clear that the economic models of the past are unsuitable for the future. And hyperglobalization, free trade, globalized supply chains, digital economy run by big tech have served the economic interest of the happy few. And since the 1970s, neoliberalism have spread around the world, promoting deregulation in many countries, leading to the privatization of public services, such as water and education and so on, and allowing global corporations to avoid taxes. And these economic policies have also undermined democracy in many countries. These facts have already become common knowledge, not only among the international civil society, but also among governments, policymakers, and researchers around the world. Of course, including Japanese government and experts. So we need to look at the bigger picture and develop a vision to transform the economy that is causing these problems. From this perspective, the C7 Working Group on Economic Justice and Transformation advocates for green and just transition toward a society and an economy based on the principles of sufficiency, sustainability of life, and human rights. And I would like to introduce some of the issues that this working group will address. International trade, international finance, fair tax policy, digital economy, including platform business and services by big tech, and business and human rights, access to concessional finance, including special drawing rights, SDR, and official development assistance, ODA, and mechanisms for the debt relief and debt restructuring. The issues of debt and international finance structure were already discussed earlier in the Q&A session with Ambassador Nakamura. It was very good opportunity for us, and I believe that Japan's role and responsibility in this issue is very, very important. And finally, our challenge, however, is that the issues that the economy includes are very, very diverse. So many issues it has. So such as the climate crisis, labor rights, food sovereignty, gender inequality, and unfair access to medicine and healthcare, etc., are closely related to the existing economic system. These are cross-cutting, really cross-cutting issues. So these issues will be discussed at the working group meeting as much as possible. based on participant suggestions. And this working group will have several meetings during February to make recommendations to G7 leaders in collaboration not only with the G7 countries, but also with the Global South. During this meeting, we will be open to your suggestions and discussions. We welcome the participation of many of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shoko. Now we have the Global Health Working Group introduced by Masaki. Please go ahead.
Hello, this is Masaki Inaba, and the domestic coordinator of the Global Health Working Group. And I would like to introduce my colleague and international coordinator, Stefania Burbo. The Stefania, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, yeah. So that Stefania will introduce about the G7 Global Health Working Group, and I will explain about the agenda of the G7 and how we are working, how we will work for the agenda. So Stefania, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Masaki. Hi, everyone. My name is Stefania Burbo, and I'm the focal point and advocacy officer of the Global Health Italian Network. And this year, I am the international coordinator of the Global Health Working Group, while Masaki Inaba is the national coordinator. But we are working within a coordination team that is composed also of Robin Montgomery from Canada and Peter Wistner from Germany. They were the previous coordinator last year of the Global Health Working Group, and also Kurt Frieder from Argentina is a member of the coordination team, so that we have a wide expression of civil society coordinating the working group. All of us have a huge experience in Civil 7 and Civil 20 processes. With regard to the goals of our group, we would like to have policies based, of course, on human rights, so people-oriented with a gender transformative approach. And we will start from the recommendations made from the Global Health Working Group last year in order to have continuity. We have already have a meeting of the group, but it was just a preparatory meeting, and on Thursday there will be the first official meeting, and the invitation has been already sent to the group. And with regard to our main activities, we will work in order to include global health recommendations in the Civil 7 policy pack, and we plan to have advocacy activities with G7 representatives, hopefully not just from Japan, but also from other countries. And that's why we will need the support of all members in order to reach institutions in many countries, not just G7 countries. And we will plan to have site events, for example, during the Civil 7 summit. And now I will give the floor to Masaki to say something about our contents and priorities. Thanks. You are muted, Masaki.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Sorry. Thank you very much for Stefania. And I share the presentation about the current G7 Hiroshima Summit prioritized agenda by the Japanese government. And they said the three interconnected key agenda. Firstly, the global health architecture for public health emergency response. And secondly, resilient, equitable, and sustainable universal health coverage. And thirdly, health innovation to address various health issues. As you know, that currently the global health policy has been very much a transition for the pandemic preparedness and response and also the prevention. And also that currently the trend has been very much moving, and also that the advocacy on the G7 is very much important, not only for the G7, but also the global trend of the global health policy transition. And for example, global health architecture, it is related to very much, for example, UN high-level meeting on the pandemic prevention and response. And also, G7's position will be discussed about the WHO pandemic treaty and the international health legislation negotiation. And also, Japan's G7 will follow up the German's G7 Pact for Pandemic Readiness on surveillance and the health emergency workforce. And second, universal health coverage. It includes every kinds of the each health issues like HIV, AIDS, TB, malaria, and NTDs and non-communicable diseases and various kind of issues. So that universal health coverage is very important for the every advocates working on the health issues. And also they would like to make the G7 UHC action plan. It will very much influence for the policies of UHC in national level. And thirdly, health innovation. It would like to accelerate R&D on pandemics and also MR and LTDs, and also that the equitable access, manufacturing capacities they would like to work on. And also digital technology for NCDs, and also that the healthy aging, including the dementia and other issues. So that the people who are working on NCDs, people who are working on the aging and dementia, and it is also crucial to work on G7. So that G7 advocacy is very much valuable for every global health advocates working on many kind of issues. So we would like to invite every health advocates in the global in the world and to work with us for the G7 advocacy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stefania and Masaki. And now we have a short presentation of the working group on humanitarian assistance in conflict by Yuko and Jeremy. Please. Who would like to start?
Hi, I'll start. My name is Yuko Shibata from Japan Platform, which is the consortium of NGOs, the humanitarian assistance. As Japan Platform and also as myself, it's the first time for us to be involved in this G7 discussion, but it's my pleasure to be a coordinator and a part of this process. And also, I'm very happy to have Jeremy Willard of ICUBA as international coordinator to support us this year as well. So Jeremy, can you maybe quickly introduce yourself? Jeremy?
Thank you very much, Yuko, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all. My name is Jeremy Willard. I'm the head of humanitarian coordination for ICFA, which is a global consortium of humanitarian NGOs. I'm based in Geneva. This will be my second year co-leading the working group for the C7, and I really want to acknowledge fully the fantastic collaboration with Kira Fischer from Action Against Hunger in Germany and the Venro colleagues last year in the Civil 7 process. Looking forward to an equally productive collaboration with Yuko and Japan Platform and all of our colleagues in Japan and across the world in the Humanitarian Assistance and Conflict Working Group this year. Thanks, Yuko.
Thanks, Jeremy. Regarding the humanitarian needs, well, I believe it continued to be under critical situation. The number of the people who need humanitarian assistance are increasing, and the estimated cost of the assistance marks record every year. So as you also see, unprecedented level of natural disasters such as flood, wildfire, heat waves, landslides, which is caused a loss of millions of people's lives, and also the effect of people's life for recovery in 4 years. However, we haven't seen the change of this trend so far. So I believe that we need to continue to raise awareness of humanitarian issues. And I was looking at the communique from last year, and we believe that all 5 recommendation points are still valid and important, which is reducing need for humanitarian assistance, strengthening compliance with international humanitarian law, enabling and ensuring principle, humanitarian response, increasing the equality, quantity and quality in the funding, prioritizing support for local actors, and holding themselves and each other accountable for our commitments. There's also a statement released by Working Group touched on the global food crisis and strengthening the humanitarian system to reduce the needs, and also strengthening quality, accountability, financing, anticipatory actions are all everything that's all critical, still valid and really important. So to start, we would like to begin with a discussion based on what's discussed since last year. And before this official process starts, my colleagues in Japan briefly discussed, or more like brainstormed, that issues what this working group should deal with. And also a couple more issues were raised, such as education in emergency, and also the hunger crisis to be added. So, but still, I'm sure that there are a lot more to be addressed or to discuss. So I'm looking forward to discuss with you for this year until the end of the communique. Maybe Jeremy, would you like to add anything or comment?
Thanks very much, Yuko. Mainly just a comment on the process. I mean, we had a very active working group last year, and hopefully we will continue this year again with the participation of the members. And I do encourage those of you who are interested in this group to join the session we have to explain a bit more and to come along with us on the journey to get really deeper into these recommendations early on. The situation in the world right now really is one where we need to prioritize a focus on so many issues related to the food insecurity, to conflict, to hunger, and then very many related areas. And as Yuko has just suggested, there's so many topics we could cover. So I think one of the challenges is about prioritization and really choosing our focus early on, and then ensuring we can emphasize those messages. And we look forward to working with all of you to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both, Yuko and Jeremy. Now we are coming to the Open and Resilient Societies working group, introduced by Hirotaka and Narayan. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Narayan, are you there? I hope he's connected. If not, hi, very nice to meet you.
Hey, I'm here. Sorry. So here you can go ahead if you like.
Great, thank you very much. Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Hirotaka Koike. You can call me Hiro. I'm the Senior Political and External Affairs Officer at the Greenpeace Japan. I am the domestic coordinator of this working group, and Narayan will explain a little bit of this working group's background and also the key issues that we are going to address. So, floor is yours.
Thank you, Hiro. Hello, everybody. My name is Narayan Adhikari, and I'm the country director for the Accountability Lab, Nepal. It is my immense pleasure to be here. Accountability Lab has served as the co-chair of C20 Anti-Corruption Working Group for past 3 years. And so we have some lessons which I think will be useful about how to make this kind of process more effective. And we hope to ensure the link between these two processes. So this is my first time to the C7 process, so I'm already excited. Thank you for having me. And I would like to express my gratitude and appreciation to the C7 Secretariat, especially to our Japanese colleagues, for providing me this wonderful opportunity to serve as international coordinator. This working group is for me is more important now than ever, as many societies around the world are closing. Politics is becoming more divisive. Rights are being curtailed. Corruption is increasingly undermining fair and equal system. So malign influences from states and other actors is undermining citizen trust in their government. So there's a lot to do, but I'm convinced that if we come together, we can begin to push for the kind of change we would like to see. This year, with the Open and Resilient Society Working Group, we would love to focus on 3 core priorities in line with our guiding principle, which we can also discuss in separate groups. But what I think is the first priority would be really ensuring the inclusivity of the process. Our German colleagues did an amazing job last year ensuring the working groups was inclusive and included diverse voices of all kinds. We want to build on that this year and make sure the most marginalized have their say as part of the working group. We feel it is their voices that are most important. So the second priority would be to communicate the work. So we're really interested in finding new ways to communicate the progress we make with the working groups to make others aware of how important these issues and the C7 process. It is through narrative building that we can bring new ideas and perspectives, but it is really need to communicate to the larger civil society network around the world. And the final and the most important priorities would be the implementation of the commitments. So too often civil society perspectives are an afterthought for governments. We want to use this year C7 process to drive implementation of ideas. So the opportunity in the timeline this year, we have that there will be a significant period after the G7 summit, during which we hope to focus on action. So I would like to welcome to all the civil society leaders who have joined to this working group and looking forward a constructive and collaborative dialogue on this. So thank you for including us in this important process. And I'm available anytime for any kind of conversation about how we can build a solidarity around issues related to open and resilient society. Thank you, and over to you, Nick.
Thank you very much, Narayan. From my end, I'd like to explain a little bit of how we are going to make progress on our work. So within our working group, we will establish several sub-working groups to advance the critical area of and issues that we have. As you know, the open society, and the resilient societies are quite broad term and the broad concept. So with that, we will going to fill a lot of gaps. So I mean, anyone feeling kind of missing the space within the C7 are very much welcome to join. That your voice can be captured within this working group. And in this breakout sessions coming up immediately after, we will have a bit of the brainstorm and also discuss about what kind of subgroup need to be established so that we will capture all of your voice within this process, and so that we will take that forward into the system process at the later stage. There will be a kickoff meeting for Japanese speaking people on the 31st as well. So I just wanted to flag that now. If you're interested in, please do contact me on Narayan so that we can guide you to that appropriate registration. And for that, your support and active engagement. So we are pretty much dependent on you. So looking forward to working with you and counting on your contribution. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you both. Now are we coming to the last working group? It's on nuclear disarmament and presented by Sumiko and Susie. Please, last working group.
Sure, I will share my screen. Excellent. Hi, everybody. My name is Sumiko Hatakeyama, Executive Committee Member of Peace Board. It's my true delight, really, to coordinate this newly established working group on nuclear disarmament. I'll be doing the talking bit tonight, but Susie Snyder from ICANN is also here as my co-coordinator, I believe. In this short presentation, I will be talking about why we need this new working group on nuclear disarmament. I will talk about working group coordinators, process and timeline, and how to join us. All right. Well, there are about 1,300 nuclear weapons on Earth, endangering the lives of billions of people and the environmental catastrophe. With multiple crises involving nuclear-armed countries, nuclear risks are higher than ever. Now, this is the first time that heads of the G7 will meet in Hiroshima, Japan, and the Japanese Prime Minister Kishida has said rather repeatedly in his speech that they'll be taking this opportunity that the G7 summit will take place in Hiroshima, where atomic bomb was dropped, to lead the international initiatives towards a world without nuclear weapons. Then they must engage in concrete discussions that will move nuclear disarmament forward. Among the civil society organizations too, there have been many requests for the establishment of a new working group to deal with nuclear weapons abolition and nuclear disarmament in the C7 process. Against this background, a new working group on nuclear disarmament has been established to include nuclear disarmament as an independent topic in the C7 communique. As civil society, we would like to take this opportunity to appeal directly to the G7 countries for substantive progress on nuclear disarmament and the abolition of nuclear weapons. The Nuclear Disarmament Working Group aims to get a concrete declaration from the G7 leaders that the use or threat of use of nuclear weapons is unacceptable and illegitimate, and that they plan to work for the elimination of nuclear weapons. This working group will discuss topics such as the abolition of nuclear weapons, humanitarian aspects of nuclear weapons, assistance towards victims of nuclear weapons, and the budget and resources allocated on nuclear weapons. Of course, none of these topics are fixed or finalized, and it will be the job of the working group to start by discussing what should be included and what should be at the core of our policy recommendations. Now, about the practical side of things. We have two working group coordinators. I'll be serving the domestic coordinator, and Susie Snyder from the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, ICAN, will be working with me as international coordinator. Process and timeline. We are planning to have 3 meetings in English. The first one is going to be on January 26th, the second one on February 15, the third one on March 14. We have 2 time slots for each of the meetings to allow for everybody in any place, in any location on the globe to be able to join. And these 3 meetings will lead to the recommendation by mid-March. Now, we will also have 2 follow-up meetings in Japanese, and this is something I'll be coordinating as Japan domestic coordinator. This will be to allow organizations working primarily in Japanese to have a chance to have an input on the process. And I would also like to emphasize that if you are also working in a country where English is not the primary language for many of the civil society organizations, it would be wonderful if some of you can coordinate similar follow-up process in your own respective language. How to join us? It's the same as any other working groups. You can come register to the Nuclear Disarmament Working Group via the C7 website. I hope it to be an inclusive process involving many organizations from many parts of the globe. So I will be very much looking forward to having you registered to the Nuclear Disarmament Working Group. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sumiko. We are lacking a little bit behind, but I think it's important to give the working group and the coordinators, which are really crucial positions, the time to present themselves, because the working groups are always at the core of the C7 process. So congratulations to your overviews and to your planned activities. It's really fantastic to see as well the continuity to our process from Germany last year.